Hey, Scott and Scott. We are here together with two Scotts. From here on out, we said we were going to do guest spots here on the Gridiron, so we have two Scotts here today. Never enough Scotts. Scott Sheddick, how you doing?
Doing great, doing great. It's good to be back. Another week of football. This is about, I think it's been my best week so far. So doing
First
very
win.
good. How are you guys doing? I know. It's only took 9 weeks to get there. So it's eight, excuse me. But
Yes,
it's feeling good. Scott Hederman,
Indeed.
how you doing? Welcome.
I am good. I'm good. Well, thanks for having me.
joining from the office, huh? Working overtime.
Yeah, today here a little late.
Yeah, yeah. Is that where you put in all your fantasy research to get you 6-2, top of the Gridiron?
Oh yeah, I got all these monitors everywhere.
Yeah, sure. And all these
Mm.
ADP numbers and expectations for the rest of the weeks up to come. Before we get into football, guys, let's talk about what are you watching? I'll go first. It's clear that there's football on. It's Thursday night. It's a big deal because the Texans is the one time the Texans get to play on Thursday night, a primetime game. This is our only primetime game of the year, and no one's going to watch. In fact, the people that are at NRG are probably not going to watch. They're going to be watching the Astros on their phone. So we're talking about the Astros. Evened it up last night, World Series 2-2, huge deal.
Only
I
like the
would
no hitter, right? Oh,
yeah, threw a no hitter last night. The best comeback that all the Phillies fans have for it is that it was a combined no hitter. No big deal, I get that George Costanza, yeah, George Costanza meme, feelings when they
Yeah.
say that
In 6 games.
in six games. Yeah, yeah, but real pumped. Justin Verlander going on tonight. I mean, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. I will have Fubo lets me split screen, so I will have split screen left
Nice.
Texans, right Astros. This will probably be going on until the weekend, so that's taking up most of my time at night. Family gathering around the TV, cheering, getting crazy, getting out of their seat. I'm stress eating Halloween candy. It's it's a great time of year. Scott Sheddick, what are you watching?
Apart from Astros and football, obviously, lately I've been watching the Cabinet of Curiosities by Guillermo del Toro on Netflix. It's very
Mhm.
interesting, different, separate shorts. Each one is its own story. Some are a little more, I guess, horror or scary like. Some of them are just kind of very interesting and odd stories in themselves. If you've seen Guillermo Toro's work, which I'm sure you have, it's always very peculiar in his own way, and almost like um, I can't, but it almost like Todd McFarlane, but life like
Yep.
kind of style like, and it's very very interesting. I haven't finished it yet, but I think about 4 or 5 episodes in.
I've watched the first three because it got me in the Halloween mood. I think I watched it on
Hmm.
Halloween's Eve, and it was the one with the rats. And a lot
Yeah.
of people would get super squeamish with that one. It was pretty rough as far as like, really kind of gross and grimy and whatever. Interesting stories. I liked
Hmm.
them, but yeah, I didn't really get to finish because like once Halloween ends, it's hard to get my household to still watch creepy horror shit. We
Mm.
kind of have to, switch off on something else, even though for me it's kind of like a year-round thing. Like we can't still watch murder documentaries even though Halloween's
Sure you
over,
can.
please. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. Scott Hederman, what are you watching?
what am I watching? Well, House of the Dragon and
Yeah.
new Lord of the Rings show just finished. So those
Hmm.
were high on my list
Hmm.
of things to watch.
Yeah.
The last few days I was watching Barbarians on Netflix. I don't know if y'all seen
Really?
that one. It's
I'm looking
German.
forward to watching that this weekend.
It's like all German, or mostly all in German. They speak Latin too, obviously, with the Romans being involved. But I don't know, it's
So
way better
it's
than I thought it was going to be. If you're willing to sit there and read the subtitles, I guess.
so it's all subtitles, huh?
Yeah, but
Well,
Wow.
not if you speak German.
yeah, I guess true. If you speak German, you don't need them.
That's
But
true.
well, I guess you probably get lost in the Latin a bit. But
Yeah.
it's I don't know. It's a lot better production quality than I thought it was going to be. I thought it would get bored real quick, but it's basically like the story of the beginning of Gladiator when Maximus is in Germany, like fucking him up.
Cool.
So you're getting the story from the other side, the German side.
Okay.
Nice.
Good so
All
far.
right. All right. I'll have to check it out. It's on, I think that, besides Survivor, besides Masked Singer, HBO is kind of chilled out on things that I must watch every week. And so a lot of time has been opened up. So maybe I'll check it out. Let's get in some football. First, I don't think we've celebrated this quite enough. Scott, you got your first win. Okay. What is
I think
we've been talking trade a lot this week. What is your ultimate goal? Technically, you are still able to make the playoffs, right? I mean, if you went 7-7,
yeah, I mean, if I win out and a lot of other people suck, I mean, the line,
not even
the
people
stars
sucking.
have to align.
Not
The
even
stars
people
have to
sucking.
align.
7's the number. 7 is the number. So it doesn't even mean that people have to suck. You can still make it as long as you win out, but you have to win out. What's the ultimate goal here? Obviously, it's the playoffs, but other than that, coming from somebody who is winning their first game in 8 weeks.
Best possible draft choice I can get for next year.
Right.
I mean, that's really, more names in the hat to try to get, top 3 pick. It's really the goal right now. And, obviously avoiding the shame of getting last place, that's a big part of it. So yeah, there's still a lot to work for, because I mean, I feel like I've definitely gotten a lot of vultures circling in the past few weeks. So it's really a matter of just making sure that, I'm not disbanding all my good players just because my team hasn't been doing good as a whole.
Well, you fought me off. I've been trying to I wouldn't say vulture. I feel like I threw you some pretty good trade offers and you've shut them down, but it is what it is. I'm not butthurt about it, I don't get butthurt over trade being shut down in a trade or people saying, nah, I don't want to trade with you. But I will say that I threw you some good ones that I thought you'd accept, and it didn't really work out. But it is what it is. Scott, look at your schedule coming up. You are 6-2, but it is not easy. The end of the year coming up for you. And it just so happened the schedule worked out this way that we had to, when the NFL added on an extra week, we had to add on an extra week to the regular season. And so you have to face the person that was paired up with you in the standings last year. You got Fupa Slayer, which at the beginning of the year looked like you did not get Fupa Slayer?
Pretty sure it's Clay.
No, you're playing Fupa twice. Looks like.
No, you've got Fupa Slayer.
Yeah, in week 10 and 14.
Yeah, 10 and 14.
Maybe I was doubled up on Clay last year. I don't know why I thought it was Clay.
Nah, you've passed Clay. So you've got Fupa Slayer 10 and 14, which at the beginning of the year looked really easy. Not so easy this year, as it turns out. He scored the most touchdowns out of anybody in the Gridiron. So you bat, Fupa Slayer, Maestro, Rumham, Professor, Fupa Slayer, all playoff teams except for Rumham. Are you prepared for the second half?
I guess we'll find out. I've had a pretty easy schedule so far. Points against me is like, I think I have the least, unless
exactly
past me so far.
Yeah.
So
nope, that's
I
the least.
can only assume that I'll have some tough ones coming up just by the average.
Yeah.
But, good luck out.
Yeah, so far you've faced, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 teams out of your first 8 have been non-playoff teams. So it's not terrible. You just have a bad schedule thinking that that you have to face somebody who's at the top of the standings twice.
I'm not too worried about John.
Okay, good, because neither was I. Good thing we have you on the podcast today. By the way, we had Clay scheduled to be on the podcast today. We will get him another week. He had his girlfriend's car breakdown, and it's going to take him the whole night to get it. Yeah, so we're having Scott, which really works out because we're going to talk about moves, transactions. Who needs them? Do you think that? I mean, up until what, 2 weeks ago, you had used 4 out of your 30, right? Something like that.
6, maybe.
It's pretty good.
I think I used about half of what I've used all at once.
We have somebody at
27.
27. You got 3 moves. You can use half a move or like a fourth of a move every week.
That's kind of why
for the
I'm not worried about him.
Okay.
I figure by the time we get to week 14 or whatever, he's gonna have something wrong with his team that he hasn't been able to fix because he has no moves left. So
or he'll have to trade desperately, you know.
Well, when's our trade deadline? Didn't we move it up this year? It's like
Thanksgiving,
week 12 or some shit. So
right. If you were out of moves by week, yeah, it is week 12. If you were out of moves, you got about 4 weeks. Out of moves after that, you're at the mercy of the waiver wire, or you're stuck with the team you got. So
even with waiver wire, you can't add anybody if you don't.
Not if you don't have moves, right?
So we'll see how it all plays out. But he's going to be hurting here in a couple weeks, I think.
So be honest.
I'm pretty confident we'll vote for more moves next year.
I mean, didn't you vote for? You voted for 30 moves, did you not?
I voted for 5 more. I voted to keep the extra 5 we had for the pandemic last year. I like that 35. I think that's nice cushy move number.
Split 7-7, so it didn't pass or something like that. I bet we'll get one more next year.
I feel like I voted for 35, and that got shut down. But I mean, when you're happy with your team, like Scott, you have been very fortunate. I think Scott Hedman, you have been very fortunate with your team being pretty healthy. I mean, as far as Mahomes, Tua tags, Waddle, Devonta Smith, Joe Mixon, and Travis Kelce, all those people are people you drafted, and they've all stayed healthy every week except for Tua.
I didn't draft Mixon.
Oh, you traded for Mixon. Okay. Yeah. So you've had some running back issues, I guess. But other than that,
performing, yeah.
Other than that, you've been pretty good. You did just have a defensive facelift that and it worked out, right? I think your team defense really kicked ass last week. So that is definitely working out. How much, Scott Sheddig, are you looking at moves as we move on into November, as we move on towards Thanksgiving? Is this something where it's like, I wanted this guy, but I'm going to hold off because I know I'm going to need these in the next month or so?
It's just because I have been so desperate just to get a win. I haven't necessarily been holding off very much of my moves, and I'm pretty high up there myself. I'm at 24, so I can't say I've been necessarily patient. It's really just been looking at the fact that, any kind of anybody I pick up, I'm looking at just to make sure that they're past their bye, so I don't have to worry about that and covering my other guys' buys, because I think this is my worst bye week essentially. So after this, I should be pretty clear from there. So I'm just to keep an extra 6 moves for injuries or anything, or anybody hot that comes up. But I would, I'm definitely any kind of serious trade talks. I'm throwing in hey, and throwing a move basically. Because it's that time of the year where they become crucial.
Absolutely, totally agree. And I don't understand the bye week schedule the NFL's put together. Week 9, you have Browns, Cowboys, Broncos, Giants, Pittsburgh Steelers, and San Francisco 49ers. Pretty significant week for buys. You have 4 teams next week, 4 teams the week after, nobody in week 12, which really puts a damper. I wish they would have split 9. And I don't know if they do this for Thanksgiving, because that's right around Thanksgiving. Yeah. I don't know if they do that. Week 13 is Cardinals, Panthers, and then you've got 6 teams in week 14, which could be crucial for a lot of teams that are trying to make the playoffs in that last week of the regular season. Um, yeah, it puts a lot of planning that you have to do as far as picking people up and trading people. I know that in my planning, Deshaun Watson comes back in week 13. So I would like to ditch a quarterback in week 12. I have terrible quarterbacks, Pickett, Mills. Nobody's going to want him in week 12 because there's no fucking buys. Terrible planning on my part, but it is what it is. So I might be stuck with 3 quarterbacks going into Thanksgiving and past the trade deadline. All right, let's move on here. Microtransactions. We're talking about these small little trades that people are moving for, a move here or a different player that's on buy. How important are microtransactions as we move into some of these times where you need moves or in different little spots just to get a win? Scott Sheddick, what do you think? All right, yeah, Scott, what do you think? Scott Hedeman, you're not a very microtransaction kind of guy. What do you think?
You're talking about just like little one-to-one defensive player trades, or like I'll give you this guy for a move, but you got to give him back next week kind of shit?
Oh, that's not allowed. We don't talk about that on the podcast.
Yeah, it's not official.
If that's happening, you need to report it, and we will deal with it.
That's
all
what
right?
I'm questioning.
Yeah.
I mean, one-to-one small trades, I don't have any issues with. I mean, but I'm not, like you said, I'm not one to jump on that sort of bandwagon very quickly. It takes a lot for me to move somebody usually. So I don't know. A lot of times I look at free agents before I'm going to make a little trade like that. And if I can find somebody that's close, then why help you out? I'll just help myself.
That's extremely rude, but yes, I feel like there's a lot of that in the league going on right now. I didn't feel like that at the beginning of the year, but once these standings start to come into play and come more into focus, people start to realize I'm helping out people who I might be fighting for the playoffs, or who might be in first place, second place, third place. I don't want to do that. Scott, you've only made 2 trades all year, both in both in October. I wouldn't say they're minor, but Shaq Leonard for Bridgewater, Godwin and Patterson for Ayuk, Mixon, and Butker. It does take a lot to trade with you. And so, yeah, it has to be something that you're definitely favorable for. I've been trying to trade with you for the last few weeks, and it's not really gone anywhere, unfortunately.
A tough shell to crack.
Well, for that exact reason of you saying, I don't really want to help you out, and it doesn't really help me out immensely. So it is what it is. I guess that's what trades are. Okay. There's a lot of droppable players here in week 9. Things have happened. NFL has progressed. Who is the biggest surprise, Scott Sheddick, from the beginning of the year when we drafted to totally healthy, somebody who's totally healthy, 100% out there, and you just want to drop them here in week 9? Who's the biggest surprise?
For me right now, I think it's Robert Woods in Tennessee. I think he's dropped off so far from where he was. Even last year, he was very good receiver, and the year before that, he was a pure number one, and now he's just out there in the waiver wires. Like, I think someone drafted him probably in like the 8th round or something like that this year. And I know Tennessee's not a big throwing team, but you still thought he was going to produce something because AJ Brown used to eat up a lot of touchdowns there before, and just to see basically no production out of the wide receivers there at all, it's kind of pretty pathetic.
I know, yeah. So you go from an AJ Brown, who was wide receiver 1 for Tannehill. You'd figure somebody would step into that spot, and it has just been a big nothing burger from that whole passing offense. I talked about this earlier with the owners of these players, but Davis Mills, as bad as he has been this whole year, and the Texans offense has scored more points than only 2 quarterbacks in the NFL who have played every game, or 2 teams quarterback production, and that is the Rams and the Titans. Stafford and Tannehill are 32 and 31 in points as far as quarterbacks are concerned. And now, things like Cooper Rush and Dak, I'm combining them together. Things like the Dolphins with Teddy and everybody that started, you combine them together. So we're talking about a full team's quarterback combination. The Titans and the Rams are in dead last, which is not something you think about, right? Scott, I know we didn't really prepare you for this. This is kind of a fill-in for you, but do you have anybody off the top of your head that's just absolutely droppable besides Melvin Gordon?
Oh, it's not gonna work, huh?
Yeah, because you're blurred.
Yeah, it's got the blurred. It's all blurred.
That's droppable, Gordon, right there.
Oh, really?
I mean, he's close. I mean, about as close to it as I got on my team. But I mean, they keep lying about him. It's hard to decide if I'm gonna drop him or not when they're like, "Hey, he's the starter."
And now they got Chase Edmonds.
And,
So
yeah, and they trade for a running back, and they're like, "Yeah, he's still the starter for now, I guess." I don't know. He's on my list of droppable, but I mean, Connor, honestly, he's about just as bad this year.
Yeah, but
he's
had some injuries. He's had some
Yeah.
injuries. I'm talking about like somebody's like 100% healthy.
Okay, well then not so much Connor, but
I know.
I think even when Connor comes back healthy, I doubt he's droppable, but Benjamin's definitely taken like a cut out of his carries for sure. So
yeah,
I don't know, probably Gordon, but
I think like you have to think, if you drop this person, would they clear waivers?
with
100% healthy, 100% healthy. Would they clear waivers? And they've started, and somebody that you drafted high. Robert Woods is perfect because he's been on our waiver wire since like week 4 or 5, and I tried to trade for him preseason because I was like, oh, that AJ Brown role. Robert Woods been good. AJ Brown, that kind of simple, fantasy football connection. I'm real close on Deontay Johnson, but I'm not going to.
Try and trade him for as long as you can, I guess, and then drop him.
It's over. He's on bye this week and next week, and it's just kind of one of those things where I'm not going to get value for him, and I'm not going to drop him, and I got to save him for buys. And if I can get past this week, then it is what it is. I got to start him every week. He's on my team. We're married. He gets a bunch of targets a game. I know you hate him as a Steelers fan, but he gets a bunch of targets. But people throw to him, or Pickett throws
Yeah,
to
but
him.
he doesn't catch them because he's a lazy bitch.
Well, a lot of for instance, he was throwing the game winner when they were on that game-winning drive a few weeks ago, and it was just completely underthrown, like terrible by Pickett. So if maybe he got a shot, maybe one of these weeks he wakes up and they find something. It's not likely, but he is somebody that was borderline wide receiver 1 to start the year. Now is like, if I had two better receivers, he'd be a wide receiver 4. I think he's right around a wide receiver 4.
I could find someone on free agent right now, like in 2 seconds, that's better than him. Okay, give me I'm just saying, like, he's so droppable.
No, trust me, I've done this. I've done this because, and if this week came down to it, I've asked this question in my head. If this came down to it, I am going to get wrecked by Danny this week. But if it came down to it, would I drop Deontay Johnson for like a receiver like Deshaun Jackson for Monday night, or another receiver on one of these teams on New Orleans or the Ravens for Monday night? I don't know. We'd have to see how close it gets, but it's a question that I hope does not come up because I don't know if he will clear waivers. I was thinking Courtland Sutton. Courtland Sutton has been awful for this year, and that whole Russell Wilson situation is just disgusting. It's sad because I feel like Courtland Sutton was somebody that was super, super high on my list to start the year out, and now it's just like, man, it's surprising if he gets like 3 or 4 targets. Not only has Judy taken over the targets that people do get, they're all terrible targets. They all just aren't very quality targets. So, yeah, Gross. Disgusting. We're going to go over, and this is fun. I think you guys will like this. Gridiron Jeopardy. I got 5 questions here about the history of the gridiron that I want y'all to answer just for fun. We'll see if you get it. No hints, no nothing like that. Let me know if you guys are ready. You guys raise your hand if you know the answer, and I'll call on you. Okay? I want just blurting it out. Okay, ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Yep.
This person has appeared in 2 championships and won only one of them back in 2013. Scott Edmund.
Me?
Yes, it is you.
I believe he needs to answer in the form of a question.
Is the person ahead of me?
Who is Scott Edmund? Yeah, so fair warning, I made these before Scott was supposed to be the guest, so easy to know. This isn't going to be that easy. All right.
They're all of him.
Yeah. This person holds the league record for most wins in a single regular season with 12.
Really? We never had a 13-1 person.
Well, I guess never had 14 weeks. Scott Sheddig.
Gaspar Rodriguez.
Incorrect.
Who is Gaspar Rodriguez? No?
Incorrect again.
He has the longest streak in general. Longest winning streak, I think.
Yes.
That's what it is. Yes. Okay. I'm going to go with change my answer to who is President Camacho then.
Incorrect again. Incorrect again.
All right. Well, then what do you got for us?
It is John Breeze. John Breeze. The year 2007. He was very dominant and faced Scott Payne in the championship. He went 12-1 in the regular season, won the first round, second round of the playoffs, and then in the championship fell victim to Scott Payne and his Tom Brady, Randy Moss combination. So, yeah, 15 years ago. All right. There have been 2 players that have appeared on championship rosters the two of the past 3 years. 2 players that have appeared on 2 of the last 3 championship rosters. Can you name one of them?
So, who are the winners?
It was Cameron and Chase.
Oh, Chase?
And me. It's the last 3 years. There's 2 players that have been on 2 championship teams.
Who is Jared Goff?
Incorrect. I think we've talked about one of these guys extensively. Like, he's absolutely terrible, but somehow makes it on championship rosters every single year.
A lot of those guys.
Is it?
Are you looking?
Yeah,
you can't look. This is not.
We're not just waiting for you to.
The answers. Mitch Trubisky was on Chase's and Cameron's team.
Wow.
And Justin Reed was on Chase's and Cameron's team.
So nothing from your team last year.
Nothing from my team. Very misleading question.
That's what he was looking at.
Very misleading question, but I wanted to get some kind of individual player question. All right. 3 teams have not made the playoffs for the last 2 years. One of those teams holds the longest current playoff-less streak of 3. Can you name the 3 teams and the current record holder? Don't raise your hand until you have them all.
I'm not. That's a lot. I don't keep track of these things.
Well, I mean, if you know it's not.
It's worse. Person who has the
3 teams
probably one of them
have not made the playoffs the last 2 years. So there's 3 teams that have missed the playoffs the last 2 years. One of those teams has missed 3 years in a row. Can you name the teams that haven't made it the last 2 years? And can you name the team that hasn't made it the last 3 years?
I feel like Clay is one of them.
Clay is one.
Probably Chet.
Sheddick is
No, I
not.
made playoffs last. I made playoffs last year.
Sheddick got third, I believe. Weren't you on the podium?
Um,
Were you on the podium, Scott? Sheddick? Did you make third?
No, I think I got fourth last year.
Yikes. Okay.
Yeah, it's worse.
Trevor.
Incorrect.
Really?
One more guess.
You go with Brad.
That's it. Nope. Incorrect. Fupa Slayer has missed 2 years in a row. Clay has missed 2 years in a row. Sky Hedman has missed 3 years straight.
Oh, burn. You kept looking for who it was.
I thought you were going to get it.
That's right.
Yeah. Looking back on it, last year you got let me see here. Last year you were 9th, barely missed. Year before you were 13th, missed pretty bad, 3 and 10. Oof. And then the year before you were 11th, 5 and 8. 3 years straight. Otherwise, and then the other two guys. So yeah, that would be the answer. Next question. This person holds the longest streak of losses in the Gridiron, both playoffs and regular season.
Longest streak
of losses.
You go, who is the maestro?
Correct. Correct. Yeah, that's pretty easy. It's sad.
I'm just glad it's not me.
Easy. Yeah, true. It's not something you want to. Yeah, it's not something to be proud of. Last one.
You were on a streak there to almost break it this year. Like,
yeah. Hey, it's all over here. Come on,
broken.
Guys.
It's all over. All right. So
turn the ship around.
This is when Clay was supposed to be on. So you both joined back in 2005 and 2006. Sorry, I have a visitor. You both joined back in 2005 and 2006.
Cute visitor.
Yeah. One person made the podium in both those years, 2005 and 2006. Who was it?
I'm gonna go with Clay. I don't think I started off very hot. I remember my
Clay joined in 2006. So it would be Sheddick in 2005. Clay joined in 2006. Only one person made the top 3 in both 2005 and 2006.
Not them two. Someone else.
Not
right?
them two. It was their first year, obviously.
Oh, okay. I thought you were asking between them two. We had a lot of other people back then, like the Dream Team.
Right.
Probably, or like Caparelli. He was really good. I'm not gonna lie.
The answer is Caparelli, actually.
Yep.
Got second in 2005 and third in 2006. So, yeah. All right. Let's move on.
Name? I've forgotten.
Nick Caparelli?
Yeah. It's like
Dog Pound or something?
No, it was
No.
Gosh, what was it? I have to go look. Poo Nannies?
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's it.
Classic Poo Nannies. Overreaction to Thursday. Today is Thursday. Got to get that straight. Trade deadline. What was the biggest fantasy impact trade from the trade deadline, Scott Sheddick?
Biggest fantasy impact trade deadline. I mean, there were a good amount of trades, and there were a lot of trades that didn't happen too. You know, like here in Houston, we were talking about waiting to see if Brandon Cooks was going to go somewhere. I honestly think that James Robinson to the Jets is a really good trade. I think that's going to end up being impactful. It's not so much right away. I think the biggest one, obviously, is Christian McCaffrey. He's gone over to San Francisco and just lit it up. I mean, in his first week, he made a couple good plays, and then the second week, he just went off. I mean, having literally a triple crown of touchdowns of rushing, receiving, and passing is pretty fucking badass to, on what is considered a fairly complex offense there over in San
Yeah.
Francisco, for him to pick up that quickly and be such a big impact. It's great to see, just because we've all seen how Carolina just really isn't that competitive of a team this year. To see one of their stars go somewhere and play on a team that is really just kicking ass with him right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good fit for sure. I think it's really upped his fantasy value, and that would be one of the top ones for me. Scott Hedman, do you have an impact fantasy player from the deadline?
Probably. I don't know. Claypool to the Bears helps them a lot, I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Roquan to the Ravens probably helps them a lot.
That's mine, is Roquan. I mean, we do an IDP league, so Roquan going to the Ravens, I feel like decreases his value and makes Patrick Queen almost a free agent. Patrick Queen's going to be moved outside, and Patrick Queen has had an absolutely amazing IDP year. What you also have to look at is who's stepping up to be in that Bears middle linebacker spot. Who's going to take over that gap that's going to be on the Bears defense. Bears defense is going to be bad, but people are going to tackle people. Okay, that's how it is. They got Klein, AJ Klein, back in the trade. I don't know if he steps in to be the starter, but somebody is going to fill that fantasy IDP hole. Patrick Queen, it's yet to be seen. I'm not going to like count him out and say drop him immediately because you haven't seen him play with Roquan yet. But really, honestly, when you go from middle to outside, we've seen it a million times. These guys just don't get the involvement they did before. He may get more sacks. He may rush the passer more. And who knows? Maybe he excels more at an outside pass rusher than he ever did at a middle linebacker, because last year, the year before that, Patrick Queen was supposed to be up here as a middle linebacker and an IDP member, and he wasn't. He was somebody that wasn't really involved. Maybe he wasn't as quick or whatever. But we all know that Patrick Queen can sack somebody. It's yet to be seen, but I would definitely knock Roquan and Patrick Queen down a notch without seeing them first.
Made fun of Clay last year for Patrick Queen. I feel like I remember that. He added him late in the season. People gave him shit because he wasn't good.
Yeah, I mean, he's not been he was drafted first round by the Ravens, and he just hasn't been that great of a player. So yeah, Patrick Queen, that is my biggest fantasy impact, at least for our league. Let's talk about Geno Smith. Are we surprised by Geno Smith? Do we think that we can keep that going? The Seahawks are, I mean, I think they're first place in that division, which absolutely blows my mind. Is this something that's going to keep going, Scott Shredding?
I don't really see it being sustainable. They are in first place of that division right now. Honestly, I think San Francisco is catching on, and even Arizona will start doing better later in the season. I don't see it being sustainable. I know I shit on him before, and he's been doing great, and he's been riding that chip on his shoulder. I really just don't see this ending, having a Cinderella ending with like a deep run in the playoffs or anything like that. I see them maybe getting the playoffs and being a one and done kind of team.
Let me ask you this: Goff for Geno Smith was offered to you. What do you say?
I think it's an even trade, honestly, right now.
I mean,
I think that's pretty even. I would try to fluff it up with a few other things and try to win somewhere else, but I think that's an even trade.
Really?
Geno probably has more points, but I just love Jared Goff's weapons a little bit more. And as long as they're healthy, then he can put up a lot of points.
It's my next side question, but I'll let Scott Hedman answer this. Scott, do you think Geno is a top 10 QB at the end of the year?
I mean, he's not now, is he?
Yeah, he is.
There he is.
Let me just make sure he was last time I checked. Make sure he's not.
Oh, yeah.
Change it in my sleep. He's had a great year.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, he's QB 7.
yeah, he's 7.
Okay. I knew it
He's
was.
better. He's better than Herbert. Better
But
than Tua right now.
Brady,
Surprised Brady's that high. I wasn't even going to bring him up.
13 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and he's added 1 on the ground. Really hasn't turned the ball over. He's turned the ball over 4 times, which is less than everybody above him, except for Hurts, who's going to turn the ball over 6 times tonight.
I don't know. I think he's the kind of person where he's like me, started off good. Probably won't finish it strong.
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
know. Did he had an easy schedule? I haven't dug deeply into their
not
team
really.
far.
Denver, San Francisco, Atlanta, yeah, Detroit obviously boosted his numbers. New Orleans has given up a couple numbers, but Arizona, the Chargers, the Giants, those aren't easy games. Those aren't gimmies. So, especially Denver and San Francisco to start the year out, those were not gimmies at all. And he went out there and played, pretty good football. He still has his bye to go, so you have to, throw that in there that he's the outside horse in the race. Those inside horses will take him over. But I think he's pretty sustainable, and he's somebody that if he keeps this starter job, Seattle's doing well enough that they're not going to have a great pick to go out and pick one of these star quarterbacks. You may see some people get traded around, or you'll see a quarterback who struggled this year go to the Seahawks maybe. But if he holds on to this job, we're talking about like a Geno mid second round pick, which is nuts. I know everybody's like, ugh, that's gross, like disgusting. But right now, he's QB7, right?
I'm gonna need a lot of drinks to make a Geno second round pick.
I know. It's one of those where somebody brings the piece of paper up to the podium and I read it out loud and but hey, he's winning. So he's really carrying the professor at the quarterback position. So, stats don't lie.
I don't
Side,
think he keeps it up. That's my guess.
and I think that everybody thinks that. Side note, nobody wants Tyler Lockett. So I've literally offered him to every person in this league for peanuts. I offered him for a DB.
You wanted DJ Moore for him, and I wasn't going to give you DJ Moore.
Well, that was a combo trade. That was a combination of a lot of things.
I think to me the highlight or low light, whatever you want to call it, reel of Tyler Lockett, literally like diving on the ground to avoid contact after catching the football. It's a little.
That's a great thing. It's a great thing.
He still gets injured though. He still has an injury tag like every week, and he avoids contact like a fucking little child. Like I don't know. I think that's part of it. He still puts up decent points though. I'll give you that.
Wide
he
receiver
puts up
16.
Pretty decent points.
Wide receiver 16. Constantly in experts' top 10 rankings. I know I say that all the time. He's constantly up there in like top 10 weeks. The problem that I have with Tyler Lockett and the reason I want to move him, he's not past his bye. DK Metcalf has shown that he is not healthy or sometimes, whatever. So if Tyler Lockett gets any more concentration on him, then we've got problems. And also, he's not young. Tyler Lockett is
he's not young.
30. So as far as receiver years, that's like 40 something, 50. But yeah,
They're about to send him out in the pasture.
I mean, I'm trying to go ahead.
I think he's inconsistent is the main reason most people don't. They look at him and they're like, "Ew, that 2-point week or the 4-point week."
That's one time in 8 weeks.
But if you look at Tyler Lockett historically, he does that kind of thing where he'll score like 37 points, and then the next week he'll score 2, and then he scores 12, and then 2, and then 40. So I don't know. For me, I like consistency, so that's partially why I look at Lockett and I'm like, eh.
No, very true in historically, but 15, 12, 10, 24, you had the 2, 8, 13. It's pretty damn consistent. this is just this is gonna be one of those I told you so's that whenever he scores touchdowns, I'm just gonna have to send out like 13 text messages to people being like, remember when I wanted your DB2 for Tyler Lockett? L'Jarius Sneed was the going rate. Sneed's had a ridiculous DB year, and I wanted to go that route. All right. Who in the NFL, I know it's Thursday night, so this may be applicable for tonight. Who is the worst fantasy NFL team? Who has the least, in your opinion, Sky, who do you think has the least attractive fantasy NFL team? Texans?
Yeah. I mean,
no offense taken.
It's between them or like, I don't know.
Steelers have been pretty bad too.
Steelers, Falcons are pretty terrible.
Incorrect.
Falcons have like
Falcons
some crazy games every once in a while.
And Mariota,
exactly. They're sporadic. Yeah.
Mariota is absolutely killing it. I think he's 6th in QBR for all fantasy quarterbacks. He's been a monster. And Pitts is going to be a second half monster. This is not a selling point of mine. I'm not trying to sell him to anybody. I'm just saying Pitts is going to be an absolute monster in the second half.
Honestly, Rams are pretty shit for fantasy purposes this year.
Especially from what they were last year. Like
Stafford
expectations, especially.
What, second to last? Their running backs, none of them are doing anything. You've got Cooper Kupp, who's probably, he's good, but I think he's the only serviceable Ram besides maybe a defender or two or something.
I just rejected that trade, Scott. That's disgusting. Don't send me trades during the podcast, especially when they're terrible. DeAndre Carter.
You're trying to get rid of Lockett. I'm trying
to
Lockett's an out.
Lockett's on my team now. He's saved. But yeah, I do like DeAndre Carter. I mean, Allen's never going to come back, I guess. Keenan Allen, he's not practicing this week, and they said his hamstring got worse in the bye week. I don't know how that happens. So yeah, DeAndre Carter is somebody who's definitely ownable. I think I have to agree. I don't know. The Jets are pretty bad right now.
They started off pretty hot, and I mean, if was it Breece Hall got injured,
but Breece Hall's not there.
Well.
So do you want Michael Carter?
He was doing well.
Sure,
well, that's where I think James Robinson will end up being an asset there.
Really?
James Robinson's a good running back. I think that the front office of Jacksonville just really didn't like him because they love Etienne, which Etienne's good. He's fine, but like he fucks up a lot of plays too when they try to put him in there too much. So,
I mean,
I think Robinson will be a good asset there, taking that role that Breece Hall was. He was being productive. That offense was productive with him when he was in.
I just don't see somebody changing teams in the middle of the year and going and being like an absolute stud. Like he's going to share with Michael Carter because Michael Carter knows playbook, and Michael Carter was splitting with Breece Hall. And I know they're similar play types. Like James Robinson isn't going to go out and catch 6, 7 balls. He's going to probably not get targeted in the pass game at all. And Michael Carter fills the Breece Hall role. So to me, it's just not that attractive.
Technically, Michael Carter doesn't fill the Breece Hall role because if he did, then he would have done that when Breece Hall was there. But Breece Hall did because Michael Carter didn't fit that role. So that's why they brought in James Robinson.
Breece Hall was really good at being Breece Hall.
And the playbook is a matter of like 6 plays. It's really not that complicated. They're running through about 2 gaps, so it's. I mean, you can pick it up in a couple of days. Christian McCaffrey picked up San Francisco's playbook in like 3 days, so it's. I don't think it's going to be trigonometry for him over there.
Christian McCaffrey is not somebody to be compared to, in my opinion. You can't just be like, well, Christian McCaffrey did it. Why can't James Robinson do it? But anyway,
I'm just saying it's not impossible.
I think he's right on the Texans. I think that Dameon Pierce is definitely somebody you really want like on your team. Everybody should want Dameon Pierce on the team just for volume, talent, volume, whatever. So I think that's very attractive. There are 0 receivers, obviously. Brandon Cooks is somebody that is getting really close to droppable if he doesn't want to play for the Texans. Obviously Dorsett and Moore, barring some miracle tonight, they're not going to be owned from here on out. You don't want the tight ends. Davis Mills is just looking way worse than I predicted he might be. Those trash time touchdowns are way up in the air. You can't grab them. Texans are looking real bad offensively. So I guess we'll just have to see. But I do have high hopes for tonight. I do. I really do. That'll move us in the Texans heat check. Do you think, Sheddick, there's any chance against the Eagles tonight?
Eagles are on the road on a Thursday night game. That always helps. The home team on a Thursday night game, I think, has like an 80% chance of winning. So there's a shot, yes. But Eagles are firing on all cylinders right now. They're running the ball well. They're throwing the ball well. They're playing defense. They've basically got the same recipe they had from when they won the Super Bowl in 2018. They have a passing and running quarterback. They've got enough defensive linemen to switch them out every other play to keep them fresh. They just got that Robert Quinn from Chicago. I think, if anything, it might be a close game, like I said, because they're on the road, but I still see the Eagles winning.
Would you take plus 14? Texans?
Yeah, make it interesting. Keep you watching. I like plus 14.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty good, especially because it's Thursday night games are usually low scoring, so you got that on your side too.
Right. Scott, any chance the Eagles lose tonight?
I mean, Sheddick had some good points. I think Thursday night doesn't help their chances and having to travel, but Texans have been pretty bad, and the Eagles have been pretty good.
You just got Devontae Smith tonight, huh?
Yeah, I have Smith. I mean, watching Hurts play quarterback is like the scariest thing I've seen lately for football purposes. I swear, every play he gets hit, it looks like he's not coming back. But I don't know.
God, you just
gotten up every
him?
time so far, so he's doing fine. I mean, but I don't know. He's a scary quarterback to watch play. I feel like unless he gets hurt or something, it's going to be tough to win tonight.
Yeah. I hear that. All right. Steelers temperature check. They just made a bunch of trades at the trade deadline, got rid of Claypool, got a new corner, which I didn't really expect that. William Jackson, right, from the Commanders. How are you feeling about the Steelers going forward this year?
I mean, going forward, it could only get better, I think, with TJ Watt coming back. You really see the difference in the defense. I think pretty much he affects just about every single play when he's on the field. So getting him back would be good. Having a bye week, of Pickett, be just, getting more practice in with the wide receivers. I think moving Claypool, while as much as I liked Claypool, he's actually been a little bit more productive lately. I think moving him was the right idea just because the Steelers offense has no business starting 3 wide receivers when they're going to pass that little or that ineffectively. So Pickens is ready to just take a bigger role. And I'm hoping that Claypool being traded wakes up Deontay Johnson for being such a little fucking cunt. That'd be nice for him to stop being that. Just because, I mean, just if you watch him play, he is such a lazy bastard. I can't stand him, especially since he literally just got paid a big contract this past year. So hopefully that takes a stick out of his ass and he starts playing a little bit better with a little bit more, I don't know, effort. There's little things like that would be nice. But the defense, like I said, getting TJ Watt back, getting a little more. That William Jackson III, he didn't have a good time in Washington Commanders because they played a lot of his zone scheme, and he's much more of a man coverage kind of guy, which fits the Steelers a lot better. So I think they should be able to get some good production out of him, especially after last week watching AJ Brown get 3 touchdowns. It's like they got to do something. And there's been a lot of other times where Minkah Fitzpatrick really just has not been up to par this year in coverage. So hopefully this will help a lot. They've got a much easier schedule going forward, so that'll be helpful.
Yeah, I'm hoping they do something. Pickett to Deontay Johnson's look pretty bad, and even though I keep winning with that crap combo, I could really use some help going forward. I'm hoping that Pickett kind of figures something out, and after he has some NFL games under his belt, starts to hit Pickens a lot more. Pickett to Pickens would be a great combo, which is kind of why I've tried it to trade for Pickens, but it's not really working out. All right. Team that most disappointed you this week? Scott Shaddick.
Las Vegas. Las Vegas getting shut out against the Saints. I mean, I know
Ugh.
the Saints have a decent defense, but not like shutting people out defense. And Las Vegas going into this year with all the weapons of, adding Devontae Adams and having Darren Waller, and even Josh Jacobs has been running pretty well lately. And then to get shut out by the Saints, just really, really sad sight.
Yep. Scott Hedman, you got a team that really disappointed you?
I mean, I have to agree. The Raiders were bad this week.
Yeah,
I mean, I was watching the game with a buddy who's a Raiders fan, and all he wanted was them to score. Score. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with them. Josh Jacobs looked pretty good last week, but Carr and Devontae Adams can't figure their shit out. So I don't know what's going on. They're pretty bad.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Texans. I feel that. I feel offenses that can't move. I was watching that on Gamecast while I went trunk-or-treating with my kids. It was like incomplete pass, incomplete pass, incomplete pass, incomplete pass. Just absolutely disgusting. And if we have to watch that tonight, please don't. Please, Davis Mills, if the pocket's going to shut down, get rid of it. Don't get sacked on 2nd and 2 for 8 yards, because you're going to end up with 3rd and 10 and we're going to punt. Like, get rid of the ball. Throw picks. I don't give a fuck. Like, literally, Davis Mills, throw some interceptions tonight is what I'm asking you to do. Don't get sacked. Like, that's frustrating. From a Texan standpoint, I can deal with you being like, well, you tried. I can't deal with check the first, check the second option, check down to the running back who's kind of wide open. No, we're just going to tuck it and fall down. I can't do that. I can't do that tonight. I know that's what was happening against Titans. So let's move the ball a little bit. Went too far into that Texans. Getting heated up. All right, team most impressed by last week. I'm going to go with the Saints. They shut out the Raiders. They came in, they've had really big injuries this year. Kamara wasn't playing up to par. They've been through every quarterback, with Jameis. Taysom's played a little bit, Andy Dalton. They're doing a really good job there in New Orleans, winning football games. Really impressed by them on the ground and through the air. Scott Shaddick, who do you got?
Philly, still. Philly's just they're just such a solid team. Like I said, they look good all around. They put pressure on quarterback. They've got good DBs. The offense. The offense scores almost every drive. Like I just, when you were just talking about Davis Mills and all these like negative plays he takes, I feel like Hurts is the complete opposite. Like no matter what, even if you play perfect defense, he'll get 3 yards. It doesn't matter. Like he's gaining yardage on every single play, and it's they've got an all around team, and I think kind of like what Scott said, barring injury, that they're not going to stop anytime soon.
Yeah, I can see that. Scott, were you impressed, especially by any team last week?
Yeah, well, sort of. It's kind of an odd answer probably because they lost, but the Panthers sort of surprised me, and I think they should have won because I don't know. I saw stuff after the game saying that Moore taking his helmet off outside of the end zone shouldn't have been a penalty anyway. So
it's not a penalty.
I don't know why they did that, but I mean, I expected the Panthers to be terrible after losing McCaffrey. They don't have a quarterback that's been doing great, and then he did pretty damn good that game. And then you had Deontay Foreman rushing for 150 yards, and I don't know. They looked better than I expected them to be, and then they seemed like they were going to win the game, but then gave it up there at the end.
Yeah. PJ Walker looked decent for sure.
Yeah, he had a couple throws that I was like, God damn, okay.
Yeah, especially that last one.
All downfield, that's good. I mean, so Panthers, I have to say, even though they lost.
Gotcha. Individual players Individual players, Scott Sheddick, anybody that disappointed you really bad?
After the Raiders and David Carr, like I said, just having all those weapons and and
Derek.
getting Devontae Adams, like to not be able to get that going after how Devontae Adams basically been wide receiver one, top three wide receiver the past like 4 years. Aaron Rodgers, for him to just be dropped off so much and get shut out in a game like this is pretty sad sight to see. And I couldn't imagine watching that with the Raiders fan like you did, Scott. It sounds rough.
Yeah.
He was so sad.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with Burrow. I went into with daily lineups and everything, gambling on the. I didn't take the Bengals. I took the Browns in the game, but I thought Burrow would do a lot better, and going out there and really chopping up this Browns defense. I want to give credit to the Browns defense, but Burrow just didn't look good, man. He looked lost out there, especially after blowing it up. It really puts a lot on Jamar Chase. That's how good Jamar Chase is. When he's on the field, he makes Burrow look like a way better quarterback than he actually is. I think about this all the time. Put Burrow in an offense like the Texans. Is he any better than Davis Mills? It didn't look like he would be on Monday. It looked really bad. It's disappointing to see it because we put Burrow up on a pedestal. He's somebody that we've really pumped up and made like top 5 type quarterback in the NFL, and he just looked really, really bad. Anybody individually on this last week, Scott, that you enjoyed watching or you were impressed by, or I'm disappointed by? I'm sorry.
I mean, probably like Henderson on the Rams. I was kind of expecting him to get more than 14 yards or whatever he got. Like, the Rams are just bad. I don't know what their problem is.
Stafford is hurt, is what their problem is.
I think it's because he's playing hurt. Is
yes.
Like ribs or shoulder or
finger? His elbow. If he was a pitcher, he would have surgery. But he is a quarterback.
They also sold out for the Super Bowl last year and had like a lot of players leave right after that because they're on like 1-year contracts that were pretty impactful players all around.
Yep. Vaughn, OBJ.
Yeah, I don't know. I have to go because he was my own player. I'll go Henderson just because he did nothing.
Yeah, we'll see if Kyron Williams steps into that role and actually does something for the Rams. It'll be interesting to watch. Player that impressed you most? I'm going to go with Derrick Henry. I know he ran against the pathetic Texans run defense. He probably wasn't touched before 6 yards on any of his runs. There were gaping wide holes, but it's still 200 plus yards and a couple touchdowns. Derrick Henry looked like the Derrick Henry that I drafted first over all other running backs. I loved it. Impressive. I hope he repeats it against the Chiefs this week. Scott Sheddick, anybody that impressed you?
2 players, both the 3 touchdowns, Christian McCaffrey and AJ Brown. Both guys just had amazing weeks. I mean, Christian McCaffrey I already talked about, but being at a new team, picking it up that quickly, and just being, just a fucking Swiss Army knife of a football player out there. And then AJ Brown just being so fucking deadly on that offense. They can run the ball, they can throw the ball, they can hit you with huge splash plays, and it's something that's going to be really tough to stop. But yeah, AJ Brown and Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, from a DFS standpoint, I was watching AJ Brown, and if you don't have AJ Brown, you don't have Jalen Hurts. It's like fuck, like you're not going to win money because everybody that had AJ Brown or Jalen Hurts. Luckily, Tua and the Dolphins came back and just started tossing around like they were playing catch in the backyard against the Lions last week, and they won me a ton of money. But at the time, I was like, fuck, Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown are really taking over the slate. Scott, anybody that really, really impressed you last week?
I had forgotten about AJ Brown until Sheddick just mentioned him. That he was pretty damn impressive this week. That one catch where he pointed at both of the defenders had me laughing.
He should have been flagged on that.
He did get flagged.
Oh, did he?
He got a taunting. He got a taunting penalty I don't think
Unless
he
they take
should've,
the touchdown back, who gives a shit? Whatever.
but
Take your
that was a
helmet off
cool
and hit them in
play.
the face.
I did
There you
like
go.
that.
That's
And
sweet.
then my pickup, I think Deontay Foreman had a pretty beastly game.
Oh my God, yeah.
120 yards, 3 TDs. So hoping that continues.
I think I want to call him Derrick Henry Jr. He is
we're
like
basically talking about him like he was.
yeah, because he can really pound it, and he's really somebody that you don't want to get in the hole to tackle. He came up, and I know Atlanta's defense is not that great on the ground, but he came in and really pounded it and gave him something to think about. And I think that opened a lot of area for PJ Walker to do work. So, yeah, that's a great pickup. I wish I had him as my RB2 going forward because it doesn't look like, I mean, we'll see with Hubbard coming back this week, but it doesn't look like he's going to be sharing too much. It might be a 70-30, split with Hubbard, but that's it. That's a good pickup for sure. All right. Matchup of the week. And again, I'm glad we have Sky Hedman on because you are matchup of the week. These projections are just out of control. I feel like Yahoo's broken or something. Last man standing versus UBAT. Sheddig, you owe a shot from last week. I don't know if you have it on hand or if this is something you're going to owe. You're going to ride an IOU.
I mean, I could go get it if you guys want to talk about the matchup real quick, and I'll be right back.
Well, we're not going to let Scott discuss his own matchup, okay? He's just going to hear and listen to us talk about his teams. And it's your turn to pick. It's up to you.
Oh, thank gosh.
You can do it. Are you prepared to do it right now?
Oh yeah. I'm prepared.
Absolutely. We'll wait. Me and Scott can just shoot the shit while you go get a.
Okay. Why don't you guys shoot the shit for a second? I'm gonna go chill the shot and I'll be right back.
Okay, Scott, do you think you're going to win this week? I mean, is this something like honestly, you are down by 11, but it looks like you have besides Ayuk a full roster.
Yeah, we were projected pretty evenly until I've just now looked at it again. He got 10 more points somehow.
He threw in Rondale Moore, so Rondale Moore is kind of inflated because of that last week, and Yahoo loves receivers who get end arounds and get a lot of receptions. He's projected 12.52, which is super high. I mean, Rondale Moore is projected more than Fournette. Like, get the fuck out of here.
McKenzie's similar, I think.
I mean, he's got a 10.4. Yeah, but McKenzie's the same style.
Right.
He's got a 10.45 kicker. He's beating you by 6 points at kicker. Oh, you have Fairbairn going tonight. Think about that. I got Fairbairn in a few daily lineups, so that should be good.
I added him and he got his lowest score of the season so far, so hopefully he back up for the rest of
I like him tonight. I like him. Stick with it.
Cheers.
Oh, cheers. Is that Espolón again?
Oh, you're not?
Yeah. Good work.
All righty.
Okay, now it's your turn to pick. Maybe that could be me next week.
You next week, exactly. Because I am going to take last man standing. Because not only because you're on the show, Scott, but I just like the matchups all around. Mahomes versus Tennessee, coming back from his off his bye on prime time. He loves prime time plus good weather. Tua at Chicago. Chicago's defense just got worse by losing Roquan plus good weather versus Joe Burrow, who still doesn't have Jamar Chase back, and he looked really lost against the Browns. And if you go back and look at Joe Burrow's highlight reels, it's a lot of Jamar Chase highlight reel, really, because he just gets him the ball and then Jamar Chase makes like 3 defenders miss and he just like runs for 60 yards. It's like, and Joe Burrow's stats look really good because this past week, not only did he looked lost, but it was against the Browns. The Browns have decent defense, but they're not like fucking, daunting or anything. So I feel like that loss is bad. And Josh Allen at the Jets. I think so. Josh Allen's gonna put up Josh Allen numbers. But it's a division game, and I don't like division games. Plus, they both have bad weather. The other biggest thing that I like about Scott's team here is that he is stealing a lot of points. He is stealing a lot of points from UBAT because not only does he have Isaiah McKenzie on Buffalo taken from Josh Allen, he's got Joe Mixon at Cincinnati. So if Joe Mixon gets a touchdown, that's a touchdown Joe Burrow doesn't get. He's got his stacks with Tua and Waddle. He's got Mahomes to Kelsey. It's a lot of positive points on Scott's side. You bet. I mean, he's got a solid team. He's one of the he's 4-4, but he's been one of the more solid teams I think in our league. So I'd still expect him to put up a very good fight. But everything I'm seeing here on the top end for last man standing is what I'm liking. Like I said, stealing points, great stacks, better matchups, better weather. I'm going with Scott.
I like your points in that Mahomes to Kelsey on Sunday night is so fun. It's so fun to have your guys in prime time and your main guys in prime time. And, it will come down to Tyrann Mathieu versus Kamara on Monday night, which is a huge deal. But having that Sunday night hammer is awesome. Scott is scheduled, even if the projections go as it is now, he should be up on Sunday night. So going into Monday, he should be up, and then Brad would take him over if it goes by projections. Would take him over on Monday night. So it's really up to Mahomes to Kelsey on whether Scott wins this week or not. I can't disagree or agree with you, but you better win because I ain't taking a shot next week. I'm going to keep Scott's shot schedule on intact going 3 weeks in a row. Let's get into the gambling corner and finish this baby up because I know Scott's got to get home and watch this game. Thursday night, I am 2-4 with the spread, so not exactly where I want to be, but I am 5-1 with props. I have not lost a prop in 4 weeks. Killing it. I like the Texans plus 14. Okay. And okay. I like Dameon Pierce over 3 receptions. Okay. I feel like the main guy that you're going to come out and, on that offense is going to be Dameon Pierce. Davis Mills is going to check down to him. If they are down in the third and fourth quarter, he's going to be looking for Pierce in the passing game. You saw it last week against Tennessee, how he finished it up with a touchdown. I like those two. What do you think of those? Are those good?
I like those. I agree. I expect them to be down in the third and fourth quarter, which means he'll be passing a lot and probably just going out for a quick check down because the DBs will be all over the wide receivers. So it'll be a much more economical choice for him during those times. So yeah, I like the props. Texas should be able to cover the spread at least because, like I said, on Thursday nights usually a little bit lower scoring anyhow. So I do like those.
Cool, awesome, good to hear. Glad I got your approval there. Let's go into Sunday parlays. I won last week. I had a good parlay.
Nice.
Yes, 2-4. So I'm 2 weeks in a row. I'm on a streak. That's how these things kind of happen as you get on streaks. Commanders plus 9. I really like the Heineke-McLaurin connection this week. Commanders plus 9. Jaguars against Vegas under 54. 2 struggling teams. Both have a win or a couple wins under their belt, but I think they struggle on offense, don't move the ball. Jaguars plus 7.5. I don't know why they are underdogs at home against a Vegas team that we all just said disappointed us and sucks. I think the Jaguars are a good bet there. And Bengals aren't going to lose to the Panthers, right? Bengals can't come out and lose to those Panthers that we saw last week. It was a 1 week thing. I think the Bengals win that game. I like a -1. $100 pays $260. Like that. DFS, daily fantasy. Last week, I almost had the perfect lineup. I was 2 guys away. I believed that because all the Texans were going to be gone, that Brevin Jordan and Philip Dorsett would get work. They didn't. I think they got like 2 catches each. It was really sad. I would have won like $1 million if they would have done anything at all, and they did not. This week, Heineke-McLaurin, like I said, or if you want to go Lawrence Etienne, I think they have huge games, both of them. Austin Eckler has to be in everybody's lineup because Austin Eckler is just going to murder people on offense. And A.J. Dillon is my little sneaker. Playing Detroit has been absolutely a gift to anybody on offense. I think that Aaron Jones has these games where he goes out and dominates, and AJ Dillon has been somebody that's been in the background. I feel like that switches. I feel like AJ Dillon has a big game, gets 2 touchdowns here against Detroit, and has a great week. So those are my DFS picks for this upcoming week. Survivor pick of the week, Scott. I know you're out of Survivor, but I really want to know your pick here. I like the Bengals. I'm in Survivor. I had Falcons last week. I would have survived. I like the Bengals this week against the Panthers. Anybody that you... Wait, why are you shaking your head?
It's a terrible pick. We just talked about how Joe Burrow is literally completely lost without Jamar Chase, and Carolina should have won that game against Atlanta. Carolina's going to come out with a fucking like tear and just tear down Cincinnati. I expect Carolina to win by 10 in that game at least. I don't know if you got other choices, but I don't like that one, especially if you're.
Do you think Carolina's could beat the Bengals by 10? Is that what you just said?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that is like really intense. That's a really intense pick. Consider they're minus or they're +7.
Did you watch Cincinnati on Monday? They look terrible. So not only were they terrible, they're on a short week because they played Monday night. So it's not good. It's not a recipe for success. We'll say that.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see, but I like the Bengals. Who's your pick if you pick somebody to definitely win this week?
Definitely went Philadelphia tonight.
Eagles? Oh my gosh!
I mean, most people probably don't have that left.
I'm sure there's a lot of people that are in Survivor leagues. Depending,
I mean, you don't want to depend on a road Thursday team. You don't want to do that. Not for your Survivor, at least. I think Kansas City over Tennessee isn't bad, but you probably have already used that. I think Jacksonville over Las Vegas is a good one. I think Jacksonville will definitely win that game.
I mean, they're underdogs plus 1.5, but yeah, that's a tough one. But yeah, I would agree with you. All right, guys, we've held Sky Hedman here hostage long enough. Let's get out of here. Anything else you guys want to say before we go watch some Thursday night football and the Astros?
Go Houston.
Yeah, go Astros.
Go Houston all around. Yeah,
just all of them.
Yeah, let's get a Texans Astro combination win. All right, guys. Thank you guys for listening. As always, we will be back next week with a new guest. We don't know who it is yet, but we'll just have to see. Again, thank you. We'll see you same time, same place. See ya.